Well, good day, guys, and welcome back to Let's Talk Footy. We move into season 4, last season in season 3. This time last year, we had James Maloney as we delved into the 2016 grand final, but we're heading the other way. We're going with the grand final. Let's talk about tonight's guest. 2 premiership amongst his time with 3 clubs, over 300 NRL appearances. Please welcome the 2010 Dally M Fullback of the Year and Clive Churchill Medal winner, Darius Boyd. Welcome, mate.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Really looking forward to the chat tonight. So let's get straight into it. Well, 28 games for the Queensland Maroons. I mentioned off camera myself being from Chermside, obviously living in New South Wales now. I was a Queenslander through and through, watching you growing up. And I want to say it's a very different environment. I've spoken to players in the past like Josh Papali'i, and they say just how much Origin kind of means to them. And I want to speak to you about your debut. You scored 2 tries on your debut. And not only that, you were playing at Suncorp. You won the game 30-0. How was that moment knowing you've been selected to play in Origin and just getting the victory at Suncorp in such style?
Yeah, obviously, being a Gold Coast boy myself, playing for your state is something that's very exciting, something I didn't really think possible, to be honest. It's something that I didn't really strive for. I think that, just playing for the Broncos was a goal of mine. So to get the call up to play for Queensland was a dream come true, really, something I never even thought possible. To be around the guys like Mel as a coach, Kevin Walters was in the system as an assistant coach at the time, I think, as well, and some ex-players like Trevor Gilmeister, Gene Miles, and then actually to be amongst players like JT, Cam Smith, Billy Slater, GI, Matt Scott, Nate Miles, Petro. There's so many greats of the game in that team. So to be able to play there and play my first home game, play at Suncorp in front of 50-something thousand screaming Queenslanders to see a Maroon and to get a win like we did was something I'll never forget.
What did you prefer when playing through your career? You obviously played a lot of positions and your debut started on the wing with those 2 tries, but did you prefer playing at fullback or did you prefer it being on the wing?
Yeah, I think fullback was my best position, but I guess I had a pretty good fullback in Billy Slater for the Queensland side, so it's hard to get that spot. But anywhere you could play in a rep team, you're happy, you just want to pull on the jersey and be a part of it. So I'm glad I could play other positions so I could get a chance to play in different teams. And fullback was my best position, but lucky enough to get some games in the wing as well.
Fantastic. Well, I mentioned it earlier in that little intro, but in 2006 and also 2010, you became a premiership winner, first with the club that you aspired to be a part of as a young kid, the Brisbane Broncos, and then in 2010 with the St. George Illawarra Dragons. Both of those were under Wayne Bennett, who is so recognised for coaching these days. And look, you played with some huge names, and I'm sure I'll mention a few: Darren Lockyer, Shane Webke, Jamie Soward, and of course, Mark Gasnier. I feel like all of these players, when you speak to them, will take something away from the coaching of Wayne Bennett. And I want to ask you, why do you think Wayne Bennett has become such a recognised coach for the NRL? And also, are you looking forward to his new journey as he coaches the Dolphins in 2023?
Yeah, I think it's something that most people would say. It's just he cares about the person, individual, and I think coaching is more that way, that man managerial style, getting the best out of the holistic version of somebody, not just the footballer. There's a lot more that comes to us as humans than just rugby league or just your field of expertise. Your well-being and your relationships and your financials, and there's so much more that makes up you as a person. So I think Wayne understands that better than most. He gets the best out of you as an individual, so that when you do come to work, you have no excuses, no worries, nothing to take your mind off what's in what your role is at that time, and is to play good football on the weekend or come to training in a really good positive mindset. So he gets the best out of his individuals in that aspect. And as far as the Dolphins coming along, I think it's great for the game. I also think it's great for Queenslanders, young kids growing up in whether that's country Queensland or central Queensland, that instead of having to make a huge journey to possibly Sydney, Canberra, Melbourne, hopefully that transition isn't as hard for some of those Queensland kids, and they can stay in Queensland and play for a Queensland side, and not have to move too far away from home.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this inclusion. You mentioned that he makes you feel like a person rather than a player a lot of the time. I've heard that from a few different people, and it's great to hear it. Again, I'm really looking forward to that club in 2023, and I'm sure you are. I want to speak about your current role, obviously with mental health as an ambassador. How important has spreading awareness been, in your opinion? And it's hard to say it in the right words here, but do you think that the NRL does enough to support those going through those personal battles? And I talk about, in recent weeks, Felice Kafusi has been obviously going overseas, for an example, and going through his own battle with family. And then Ash Taylor having a lot of personal time off with the Gold Coast Titans. So, look, I think there are times where coaches are kind of letting players be off and things, but for personal support, what does the NRL do, or what do you do for players to help them out in that aspect?
Yeah, I think there's always more that can be done. I think it'll never be ending, to be honest. The work that you can do, I think support is invaluable, and resources and steps to take can always be improved and always be more. It really comes down to the individual, not only player, but club and staff involved as well. The NRL do some good things, and like I said, there's always room for improvement. But also, I think it's just about understanding these things. And I know a lot is done behind closed doors too. So a lot that isn't published in the media. There's a lot of things, a lot of people doing some great things behind the scenes, working with players privately and confidentially. So a lot of things are being done, but I definitely think there's always more that can be done. And the game's only getting harder. To be a professional athlete as a whole is just getting harder with different challenges with whether it's criticism, injuries, media, social media. It's harder to be a professional athlete these days in any sport, not just rugby league. But the more that we can support our players, put resources in place to help support them and make sure that they know there's genuine care for them as a person, the better off not only the players will be, but the whole game as well.
I absolutely love getting behind, and I spoke to Josh Papali'i last year in regards to the Mullets for Mental Health initiative. There's so many great initiatives that maybe not the NRL as an organisation have gotten behind, but I think the players, and they're using social media for those kind of positive things to promote, whether it be certain awareness or initiatives, and people are getting behind it. So the growth is just fantastic to see how much support there is in that community for people. So I love to hear that. Finally, I want to get into SAS Australia. First of all, congrats on finishing the course. Obviously, one of the final three finishing the course. Personally, for you, I feel like this was a huge achievement. So how did it feel after having such a big NRL career to come post-career and achieve this? It was such a highly entertaining series to have you a part of it. I want to hear your perspective.
Yeah, it was definitely something out of my comfort zone. I don't really usually go out of my depths, I guess, and do things that don't come naturally to myself. Bit of a perfectionist too, so I suppose doing things out of my comfort zone is hard and it's challenging. And to do that on national television was even harder. But I guess it was just a really good opportunity to grow. I was 1 year into retirement, so I thought it was a really good opportunity to be able to, firstly, get asked to go and have a crack and do the show, and secondly, really test myself out of my depths. I thought, I feel like I'm pretty resilient and mentally tough, but I guess resilience is pretty context specific too. So I guess in my rugby league career, I've been able to be resilient and bounce back, and I wanted to see if I could be resilient, in another aspect, which was being out of your comfort zone, put in tough situations. We were sleep deprived, lack of food. I think I lost about 7 or 8 kilos while I was there for the 2 weeks. Not able to speak to my family. Got 3 young daughters, so that was a challenge. Fear of failure, doing things I'm not good at was a challenge. Anticipation, expectation, not knowing what's coming next. There's just so many things that was a challenge. But yeah, I got a lot out of the experience. It was yeah, an amazing one. I'm very grateful that I got the opportunity to do it, and I wouldn't do it again, but yeah, really grateful for that experience.
Fantastic. Well, mate, it's been a pleasure to have you on. I was always a fan of watching you, whether it was fullback, centre, wing, or 5'8", whether it was a Kangaroos jersey, a Maroons jersey, a Broncos jersey, or a Dragons jersey. So it's been great to have this chat tonight, and let's see how far your Broncos can go in 2022. They're playing some good footy.
Yeah, fingers crossed they can go really deep in the finals. So thanks for having me.
No worries. Thank you so much.